Hey, welcome to another episode of Legion Elite Motorsports. I'm your host Isaiah, and on today's episode we are going to prepare to bring all of the parts to the machine shop. So there are certain things you need to bring to make sure that all of the services that you're getting done gets done right, and we're going to take it from there. I'm going to let you guys know what that is and take it from there. Also, we're going to do some injector testing. Stay tuned, let's dive in. Okay, so these are the old bearings, and fairly decent, but you can tell by the way some of these are looking, it was definitely going to spin a bearing. Look at this one. So only a matter of time, and there's a remedy for that. Not that he was running amazingly high horsepower or anything crazy like that. This is actually due to tolerance changes as the year goes on, and then the heat cycles basically change how the connecting rod and main caps hug the bearing, more or less. So this is an old problem, so we're going to do new solutions to an old problem. So first things first, for the connecting rod bearings, we have a set of new but old stock tri-metal bearings. This is more for a performance standard. If you pay attention to ACL bearings and stuff like that, they use, for their race applications, they use tri-metal and coated bearings. So basically, there's a coated film on there, which is usually black, and it really kicks things up for those people who have those bearings available. Unfortunately, we do not. So for the connecting rod bearings, you have to use tri-metal. It's stronger than their standard aluminum bearings, and otherwise the race bearings would be aluminum too, but they're not. So let's see what all we need. So first off, we're gonna need the block, right? One thing that we do have to do when taking this block in is we have to put the main bearings that we're gonna be using. So we're not gonna be using these, we're gonna be using the ARP. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take all of these old studs out, or bolts out, and then we're going to change them out for the new ARPs. And then once it gets to the machine shop, they'll be able to torque it down, do a line bore hone. So this will be nice and cross-hatched and measured properly, because they're going to do bearing clearances and everything. So it is perfect to their standard, which the shop I bring it to, they've been doing these engines in racing form for over 20 years. So we're gonna take it to them, but we have to get the studs, so we're gonna do that. We're also gonna need the flywheel. So this flywheel is 225, that's no bueno. This flywheel over here is 240, that's what we're gonna bring. So we're gonna bring that, and then let's see what else we need. Okay, so we have the ARP main studs, part number right there. Then basically what we're gonna do is there's two sides to a bolt, which I'm gonna show you in a second. So basically we have, there we go. So we have the Allen head side, then we have the blank side. Blank side goes towards the block, and you tighten it down with the Allen head. So we're not gonna tighten these all the way down, we're just gonna hand tighten them into place, put the washers and the nuts on top of them. The machine shop knows exactly what to do, and they'll take it from there. So we're just gonna screw these in and move on to the next parts we need. Okay, so you just hand tighten these in, no big deal. All right, so next piece we're gonna need is the harmonic balancer, because as you can see, these are the factory balancing holes that's on there, and there's more balancing to be done because the balancer shaft elimination wasn't done when these balance holes were put in there. So even if they were, it wasn't for the crank that's going in there, because the crank is also going to be balanced. So we're going to need the balancer, the flywheel. Also, we're going to need the pressure plate, which we have that in a bin. And then we're going to need the pistons and rods. Now, swinging over to the pistons and rods, we're not going to be using the pistons, but we are going to be using the rods. And we're going to get a line bore honing for these also to make sure they're perfectly straight. And we're going to be changing out these standard factory studs to ARP. So here's the part number for that one. Rod bolts. So we're going to be taking this with us so they can crank it down, make sure the clearances for the bearings are proper. And speaking of the bearings, we're going to have those inserted so they can clearance them and make sure they are the proper distance of oil clearance, so it doesn't eat each other up, and take it from there. Also, they're going to get the pistons for the application, so they'll be getting that, and they can't balance it until they put the pistons on there. So we're gonna have that done also, and then that should be it for balancing. We're gonna do some work to the block in general, which is gonna be hot tanking it, honing, just to make sure it's nice and clean and even when the new pistons come in, and things of that nature. But yeah, that's it. So now let's move on to the next thing. Okay, so this is our weapon of choice for multi-port injection. Pretty much a stock setup with some green injectors. Basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna check to make sure that these are functioning properly and the right impedance for the computer that we're gonna be using. So we're gonna take these injectors off, get them testing. But before we do that, we're gonna take a look at this intake manifold to see if there's anything else that is needed. So right off the back, this hose is super hard and needs to be closed off properly, not with a hose clamp and a screw. So we need to fix that. Next, this area is very tight, and yeah, this is way too close to the throttle body. I don't know how you're supposed to plug that in, so technically we need to move this throttle body, excuse me, not the throttle body, but we need to move this thermostat housing a bit. So we might have to cut this off, turn it, and give us some better results. But even if this was aiming straight, that's a vast improvement, because it's easier to fix a hose versus fixing this. So we're gonna have to cut that off. Also, pertaining to the fuel system, I don't think that this is gonna be enough to meet our goal of 500 horsepower, so we might have to switch this up a bit, at least if it's being fed, you know, 10 AN, actually 8 AN worth of fuel. That'll be a vast improvement over the 6 AN, which I think kind of limits us. But let me see, we've got to figure something out about that too. We might have to cut the rail and then weld on a 8AN fitting and then take it from there. And then the return is okay at 6AN. It can be bypassed. There's an Allen head here that you can take off and then run your own AN fitting from there. So we do have a couple of options. And yeah, we definitely got to figure that out, because this, I really don't think this is going to be enough fuel for 500 horsepower. Could be, maybe, but we'll see. We'll make some subtle changes to this rail. Or we can probably leave it as is, see how far we can get, and then take it from there. But you kind of want to plan ahead of time just to make sure that it's going to reach your goal. But yeah, so that's it. So let's get to testing these injectors. All right, so we got them plumbed in. Okay, so first test we're going to do is to make sure that these are not leaking. That's like the biggest thing. If you put your car in the on position, your fuel pump turns on and the injectors start dripping. So we're going to take the pressure up to 40. All right. Good, not a drip. Test pass. All right. Next one, we're going to do an idle circuit. Getting all the air bubbles out. Bring up that pressure a little bit more there. Those are looking pretty good. All right. Another test I like to run is a pressure test. I've seen some injectors cut out past a certain PSI, so we're going to go ahead and do that now. I'm going to see how they continue to spray. Up to 70 PSI. That's actually pretty nice. All right, let's go to 80. Perfect. All right. Take back down to something normal. And take it to right around 40. Perfect. All right, now we're gonna start measuring. Let's see what they do. So we'll be back. Okay, so we got a pretty good variance, but not too crazy. You wanna make sure that it's not 12 points or higher. So this is pretty good. We got 108 there. We got 10, well, let's call it 106, 108. And this one's spraying a little hot, coming in at 112. So that's not too bad. That's on a high speed test. So there's a little bit of a variance there, but it's within spec. So these are good there. I'm gonna do a couple of more tests, one being RPM test. So we're gonna go to that, and then we're gonna see how they operate through the RPM. That's idle. $4,500. 7,500. That did pretty good. All right. So next we're gonna do a gradual acceleration test. Yeah, these are excellent. Okay. Yep, so those are perfect. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna continue to clean these, and I'm going to clean them out really good. And then, yeah, these will be good to go. So I believe these are 950cc injectors, all green. So yeah, we'll give these a go, and hopefully we'll be able to knock this out the park. And with that being said, we're going to call it an episode right there. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're new here and like the episode, definitely consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon for updated notifications. And until then, guys, remember, knowledge is power, and I will see you next time.